Hey there, NamesCon. Alvin Brown here, podcaster and publisher of KickstartCommerce.com, bringing you My First NamesCon, which is a partnership between NamesCon and Kickstart Commerce to basically, we're going to take a look and have a conversation with a first-time attendee of NamesCon. So, obviously, the gentleman that we are looking at and interviewing here today is Jason Franklin. So, Jason, man, welcome.
Thank you, Alvin. Thank you so much for having me.
Certainly. So, to just kind of dive into things here in terms of your NamesCon experience, obviously, so we are wrapping up day one, but let's share with viewers just a bit of how you kind of got here to NamesCon. I mean, obviously this is your first NamesCon, so did you consider? Had you heard of NamesCon prior to this? I mean, kind of what's the backstory here?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story. So actually, I've known about NamesCon for quite a while. I got into domain investing back in 2011, around that time, and probably I think it was 2014 or so. I attended my first in Houston. Angela St. Julian had hosted that back in Houston, and so I went to that, and I actually didn't win tickets there, but not long after that I won tickets from a domain name Wire. NamesCon was coming up not long after that conference we had there in Houston, and so domain name Wire, they had, I believe it was a couple pair of tickets, or a couple, like it was 5 tickets or 2 tickets or something they were giving out to 5 different individuals. And so I responded to one of Andrew's Facebook messages or on the website, and I won a free ticket. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that ticket, or make that conference.
Man.
And actually, so let me change that up a little bit, because so the in Houston was 14. I think that was kind of my getting into the early conference stuff. And then 16 is when actually the conference that I missed, because I had a family member pass away. I had won the ticket. I unfortunately couldn't make it, so that was kind of a bummer. And then, believe it or not, I won another ticket from in Houston, the second in Houston. I think you were there, Alvin.
Right.
It was on the cruise ship, and it was at Kima Boardwalk in Houston. And we had a big boat, and we went out, and Bill Hartzer and other people were there. But there was also some NamesCon tickets were given away there. One guy won, but he couldn't go, so he actually had the ticket given to me. Well, something else came up with work that time where I couldn't make it. So this time, NamesCon was online, and I was like, I'm going to go this time. I've got to get there. And here I am. So that's kind of how I attended my first NamesCon.
Now, you're a domain investor, developer, like how do you classify yourself?
Yeah, I'm an investor and a developer. I actually started buying or investing in domains because I was developing domains. So back in 2011, I registered a domain to build a website on, and it kind of just, I decided, hey, I'm not really sure if I like that name or not, so I found another one, and I was like, I'm going to get a couple so that I can just change the domain name if I don't like this one, or I can keep building sites. And that's kind of how I wound up getting into domain investing. So before you know it, I had 10, and then all of a sudden, I just started building a portfolio, and, that's kind of how my domain investing, I guess, adventure started.
Interesting. And so what size portfolio do you have today?
Currently, I hold about 112 domain names, I think, right now.
Okay.
I had up to 250 at one point, but those were a lot of names where I started kind of trimming the fat. I think, as you know, Alvin, like over the years as a domain investor, you start to learn, like sometimes you register names that aren't that great, and you just learn how to drop those names and get them out of your portfolio.
That hurts my heart. It hurts my heart when you got to let them go.
Yeah, because they're really, to us, you get a name and you love it. You buy it or you register it because you really like it, but then you start to realize sometimes you're like, it turns out to not be what you thought, but then
that was that 5 o'clock name.
That's right. Yeah, that's that 11 o'clock at night. You're on the computer and you're just like looking at GoDaddy and you're like, all right, I think this name is really cool. I could do something with it, but eventually you learn, hey, I can't have all this extra beef in my portfolio. So you start trimming it down, and now I have a pretty good portfolio, a good size that I think is manageable for me. I think that's one thing that early domain investors can learn, is that you can waste a lot of money having a big, high quantity of names, but if they're not quality, you might sell one here and there, but you're spending so much money trying to renew that portfolio that it doesn't make a lot of sense. So
yeah. Now, what would you say your best name is, if you don't mind sharing?
The best name that I hold in my portfolio right now is probably exl.com.
Wow, exl.com. How long have you held that?
I purchased that in July of 2019, so a little over a year now, a year and a few months. And so it's I currently have that one. It's being brokered by saw.com.
Okay.
So it just went under contract a few days ago. So if anyone out there is looking for a name, contact the people over at Saw. Gabriel or Amanda or one of them over there can help you with that. Or contact me and I'll send you over to them.
Certainly. So then